Hello and welcome to another episode of the Otaku Experience over here on the Burnett Network. Once again, I am your host, Israel. I bet you're wondering, where have I been? And I have also been wondering that myself. So about three, four, I think it's over a month now. Over a month ago, I got a new job, and its hours are different than the job I had before, and so it completely rocked my schedule. And I tried to keep the Otaku Experience as something that I was gonna keep doing weekly, but the time just seemed to like evaporate, and so I've really had to spend like the past month figuring out how I'm gonna like do things again, and I've reorganized my schedule, and I've kind of gotten used to how things are now, and I've finally been able to have some time to do the show again. I have no idea what has gone on the past month in terms of anime related stuff. I haven't watched anything. I haven't kept up with anything. If it didn't show up in my Twitter feed, if it wasn't that big of news, then I probably don't know anything about it. There is one thing that we're not going to talk about in this episode that I feel like is a pretty decently major thing, and that is the new Lord of the Rings War of the Rohirrim clip. I think they released like an 8-minute clip, like from the first scene of the movie or something like that. I'm not going to watch it, and I'm not going to talk about it because I want to see it in theaters. And the fact that it comes out next week, like, I'll just wait and then we'll talk about it then. Also, I haven't watched any anime over the past like month. I opened up my Annie list, and it was like the other day, and it was like I was behind like 4 weeks on every show, and I was just like, oh my gosh. I did catch up on one. I caught up on ReZero, and so I'm caught up on this, and there looks like the next part isn't coming out until like I don't freaking know. Okay, here we go. Okay, February 5th, 2025. Okay, that's when it's coming out. Okay, so forever from now. Where it ended off, I don't like. It didn't really end off at a good spot for me. It felt like it ended off just as like a random spot. And maybe that's where the arc ends. But I don't know. I just didn't like it. I didn't like that separation. I wish that maybe it had ended either an episode before or maybe a few minutes before where the episode actually ended, because the episode ends like kind of in the middle of a sequence. And it's just kind of like, we'll see you next time. And it's like, oh, okay. I would have preferred to see, the sequence end and then you take a break, or take a break before the sequence starts, but to split it in the middle of it was just, I don't know. Anyway, but other than that, like I've said this entire time that ReZero Season 3 has been on, I've really enjoyed it, and I've really liked it. I like it a lot more than Season 2. I probably like it about as much as I liked the first season. I don't remember how I felt about the first season too much. It's been a few years, but I remember overall, being positive about the first season, but I just, I don't know. I'm sure it's there, but overall, I'm really enjoying this, and I don't know if I can even like qualify this. Like when I do my end of the year list, because we're getting to that point, I don't even know if I can put this on there because this is like completely unfinished, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to put it on their lists, but for me, it's like it just stopped at such a random point that like I don't really have any opinions on it because it feels like I'm looking at something that's unfinished. And it'd be different if they like ended the season here and then moved on, because then that would be the studio saying like, yeah, no, this is finished, and then we'll move on to something else. But this is just kind of like stopped in the middle, and the next core doesn't start for forever from now because it's only 8 episodes each rather than the full 12. So we're feeling that separation a lot more. But overall, I'm really enjoying it. I am a little... I am starting to get annoyed of the constant trope of Amelia being like this damsel in distress that constantly needs to be saved. We've done that, as far as I remember, like every season. And I would like her to have a little bit more agency, and to do a little bit more stuff, but, maybe they're cooking here with the plot that she's in with, is it greed, gluttony? I don't know who she's married to or who she's about to be married to. But whoever that guy is, maybe they're cooking something up there, and there's going to be like some big thing there. But it looks like, based on how it ended, that Reinhardt and Subaru are just there to literally save the day, and that'll be it. But, we're only halfway through this season, so I doubt that it'll be that easy, and we'll see where it goes from there. But other than that, like I said, I haven't watched any anime this past season, or this past month from this season, and so I'm behind on like everything, which is crazy because a lot of the shows are about to end. Like if I go over to my Annie list thing, like Blue Box has 25 episodes, but yeah, as you can see, I'm 5 episodes behind. Don, I'm 3 episodes behind, and that has 12. So some of these are about to end, and then some of these, like this one, I forget if Blue Box is going to be continuous or if they're taking a break. I think it's continuous, so I think it'll just keep rolling into January here. But, we'll see. I know Tower of God should be about to end. I don't think it's going too far past this. I don't remember there being anything about the season being that long. So I think that's about to end. And I think Ranma's 2 cores. Orb is 2 cores. But then some of these are 1 core. And then some of these, like ReZero, you just get a really long freaking break. Like that's 63 days. That's ridiculous, man. Anyway, but like I said, I haven't watched anything since other than ReZero, and I'll now that I have more time in my schedule because I've kind of figured out how to make things fit in this new timing system that I have, I'll be able to start catching up on some stuff, and we'll be able to talk about some more stuff in the future episodes. Another quick thing before we get into the main stuff is this. So it looks like, for those of you guys who read the manga, it looks like Spy X Family is taking a one month break, and this was announced back like on Wednesday of last week before Thanksgiving. So this is still technically like a little bit ago, but I'm just seeing this and I'm just hearing about this. So if you were wondering like where your latest Spy X Family chapter was, it's because it's on a break, and it'll be back on December 23rd. I assume maybe for like a Christmas themed chapter. At least that's what I would expect. I don't know if the manga keep up with like what is actually going on like in the real world in terms of time. So maybe you get a Christmas themed chapter, maybe not. I don't know where the manga is. So hello, Trigun. I don't know if there is like a current arc that's going on, and maybe it's taking place in the summer. I have no idea what's going on here. But maybe it'll be a Christmas episode since it's releasing again on December 23rd. But anyway, it's time to get into the audience rankings just from this past week, because I'm not going to do like 5 weeks or however long worth of audience rankings, because that'd be a waste of everybody's time and be super boring. But anyway, so we have, first things first, we have the anime trending list, and Don has spent 2 weeks at number 1. Ranma 1.5, I always say 1.5 every time. 1.5 went up 6 spots to number 2. Blue Box went up 3 spots to number 3. Danmachi went down 1 spot to number 4. Yorama's Servant went up 2 spots to number 5. Spirit Chronicles went down 1 spot to number 6. Bleach, 1,000-Year Blood War, went down 3 spots to number 7. Tying the Knot with Amigami's Sister is a re-entry into the top 10 at number 8. Tsumasho is a new entry into the top 10 at number 9. And Orb on the Movements of the Earth has spent 2 weeks at number 10. I don't even remember anything about Tsumasho. I don't remember reading about that. I'm sure I did, but when I was like looking at what I was going to watch for the season, but I don't actually remember anything with that. Going over to the anime corner list, at number 1, we have Bleach 1,000-Year Blood War: The Conflict, which is at the same rank that it was at number 1. Dan at the same rank at number 2. Dimensional Seduction went up 6 spots to number 3. Blue Lock Season 2 went down 1 spot to number 4. I've always been surprised at how high Blue Lock has been on the anime corner list, considering that everything I've seen about it has been like, in terms of just like animation and production quality, just not the greatest. And everybody's been trashing it from what I've seen on social media. I'm no longer planning on watching it, so I'm surprised that it is up here. I mean, I'm sure that the manga is still like, if it's still the same quality in terms of the writing and stuff as it was in the first season, then yeah, I'm sure like it would be up there in the top 10. But I don't know. I think the animation for a lot of people has really soured them on this season. And, I guess we'll see where they go from here, if they can fix it in the next season or not. Blue Box is at the same rank at number 5. Demon Lord 2099 is at the same rank at number 6. Tying the Knot with Amigami's Sister went up 1 spot to number 7. Ranma 1/2 went up 7 spots to number 8. Yorama's Servant went up 2 spots to number 9. And 365 Days to the Wedding went up 4 spots to number 10. Going over to the Japanese animation TV rankings, and remember, these are from the Kanto region of Japan. The Kanto region of Japan has over 40 million people in it, and so Anime News Network uses this poll to kind of gauge what the people of Japan are watching when it comes to anime. So the big ones are, you have a live action series that I don't really care about, but down here, you have, I forget what Blue Miburo is. Okay, so you have this one, The Blue Wolves of Mibu, and that is at a 3.3 average household rating. And you have the Magical Girls thing at 2.6 rating. One Piece is always up here, 2.6 rating, which I would assume these are like reruns, or is this the reanimated arc? I'm not keeping up with One Piece. Is this the reanimated arc? I know they took a hiatus in the anime. So this is either the reanimated arc or this is just like reruns and it's still up here in the top, which is crazy. Dragon Ball Daima is up here at 2.4, and Oshiri Tante, I believe. No, this is another kid show. That's the Bud Show. Anyway, so there's the Japanese animation TV rankings. So that's what people in Japan are watching. With that all said, it's time to do the big stuff. And guys, it's official. We've been waiting for it forever, and we finally got confirmation on it. Kagurabachi is getting an anime adaptation, and it looks like they're getting it from Cygames. Now, if you remember, I predicted, or my guess was that it was going to be between, who did I say, Mappa and, was it UFO-Table? Well, it turns out UFO-Table and Bones, from what I read, didn't even submit themselves into the, the thing. I forget if Wit was in there, but anyway, let's read this because I just saw the headline and everybody was talking about it today. So here we go. Kagurabachi will be getting an anime adaptation by Cygames Pictures as reported by Japanese Toyo Keizai. Cygames Pictures is a subsidiary studio of Cyber Agent, which will be leading the project together with Shochiku. The article also notes the potential of the Cyber Agent and the Shochiku partnership to emerge as a third force in the anime industry, which is currently dominated by giants like Sony, which is showing interest in acquiring Kadokawa and Toho, which we've talked about before, how we've talked about a lot of these mergers and expansions of these studios happening, and it's happening more and more. You're seeing, it's kind of like what happened in Hollywood where you had a lot of these major studios, like a lot of them. And then all of a sudden, the studios started buying each other. And you still have a decent amount of studios overall. But when you look at the big studios, you're really only looking at Universal, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Disney. Things like 20th Century Fox got bought up. DreamWorks got bought up. On and on and on. I'm sure there's more and I'm just like blanking on them. But on and on, all those studios just kind of got bought up and acquired by other studios. And so when you look at the overall picture, it's like, yeah, okay, there is 20th Century and there is, Pixar and there is da-da-da. And you point out all these things and then you're like, okay, but like, there's really only 5 owners of all these things. And you're going to start seeing that happen a lot more in the anime industry where it's like, okay, yeah, there are all these studios, but they're all going to be kind of grouped together. And you're seeing that take place, especially with Sony putting their hat in the ring to get a lot more. They already have Crunchyroll, they bought Funimation, and they're, expanding more and more into that. Toyo Keizai is one of Japan's oldest and most respected business publications, known for their reports on major industries from finance and technology to culture and entertainment. However, the announcement has not been confirmed on the official Kagurabachi-related accounts. So there's the manga cover. Why the Cyber Agent and Shochiku were chosen to lead the Kagurabachi project. Kagurabachi anime, is it Kagurabachi or Kagurabachi? I've always said Kagurabachi, but I could be wrong. Anime's production rights were contested by many major companies, which was expected due to the manga's overwhelming popularity. However, Toyo Keizai writes that Cyber Agent and Shochiku were chosen despite being a relatively less dominant pair in the anime world due to the following reasons. Creative vision, their pitch and visuals impress Shueisha's editorial team and the manga's author. Risk management, the anime industry prefers spreading projects across different studios to avoid overloading the most popular ones like Mappa or Wit Studio, which Mappa's already they're already overloaded. And this was something, now that I remember, and I'm reading this, is kind of jogging my memory about what I said all that time ago. that with Ufotable, I actually predicted that they weren't going to put their hat in the ring, because they had the Demon Slayer movie trilogy that they're working on right now, and that's going to take, assuming the first one comes out next year, which there's no confirmation that it is as far as I know, but assuming that it is, that's 25, that's 26, 27, and then right after that, they would be rolling into the Genshin Impact project, which we'll be talking about towards the end of the show. And then, after all that, they would finally begin to start Kagurabachi. And it's just too far out. They want to get this project moving sooner, and Ufotable wouldn't want to stress everything going on. And so they completely pulled out there. And so I guess I just thought that Kagurabachi would be a good match with Mappa in terms of the style, but I didn't want it to be with Mappa because Mappa is Mappa. And I think I also talked about Wit, but it looks like they didn't want to overload Wit. I think I did talk about Bones potentially being one. And I'm sure I talked about a couple others, but I don't remember too well. Global strategy. Cyber Agent's growing international IP plans likely aligned with Shueisha's goals for overseas expansion. Their main strengths include the fact that Cyber Agent operates the Japanese streaming service Abima. The majority own it with a 52.2% stake, and they have successfully tied anime campaigns with major advertisers. On the other hand, Sochiku has expertise in theatrical distribution and owns over 20 cinemas across Japan. Kagurabachi by Takeru Hokazono has been serialized in Weekly Shonen Jump since September 2023, with 4 volumes released as of October 24. And they talk about that there. So, Cygames Pictures is going to do Kagurabachi. And if you don't know who they are off the top of your head, I wouldn't blame you, because Cygames Pictures is one of the more, I would say, lesser known. It's not because they're bad, but just because they don't do too much. But I will say, when they do something, it turns out to be pretty cool. So looks like their most popular stuff you're looking at here is probably going to be like Princess Connect, Uma Musume, things like that. But if you go over here and sort it by score, what studio was I looking at? I was looking at a different studio. What was I thinking about? There was a studio that was hold on, because I was looking up this stuff before, and I could have swore this was the studio I was looking at. Hold on, because I was about to start talking about something. Who made this? Who made this? Maybe I'm just like utterly wrong on this. Okay, well. Never mind about that. So, okay, so they've done Uma Musume. Is that what it is? Anyway. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I was looking at Cygames overall. Yeah, okay. I was looking for Made in Abyss. That's what I was looking for. They also did Yuri on Ice, and they're just a producer of it. So Cygames is an overall producer, and they're obviously based on their name, they do video game stuff. But then you have Cygames Pictures here, which is an actual anime studio. And so the studio has done Uma Musume. But it looks like I accidentally clicked on Cygames earlier when I was looking into this stuff, and I saw Made in Abyss, and I was going to talk about that and how that could be like a cool way to, kind of start thinking about how they're going to do Kagurabachi. But it looks like I was wrong. So really, it's Uma Musume, and that's it. And so I don't know how good of a stylistic choice this is, but I guess we'll see. Because I don't think I'm trying to see, like what they've done that could stylistically be similar to. Well, obviously they're doing the summer that Hikaru died, and I think the animation in this has proven to look pretty solid here. If I can see like someone move around and stuff. Yeah, obviously it looks nice. So they have that ability, and you could definitely see like Kagurabachi do something like that. But then, I think what they're most known for is this type of animation, which isn't bad, but it's just not the style that Kagurabachi's in. But obviously high quality animation, I'm just worried about maybe like a stylistic mix. But as you can see, you know, as the article said, like Cygames Pictures really takes their time with their projects. They really kind of focus on one thing at a time. Obviously not like perfectly one thing at a time, but generally speaking, they work on one project at a time. And, you know, it seems like what they were saying here, everything's in line, you know, their creative vision. And it looks like they maybe did like a little sequence because they did a pitch and visuals, and they Shueisha and the manga author liked that. And it looks like they aligned here with like what the studios or with what the publisher Shueisha's plans were with everything. And so everything seemed to kind of sync up there. Probably same thing with like a scheduling thing, like maybe Cygames Pictures had like the most, you know, Shueisha probably wants to expand, like they said there. And Cygames maybe matched up perfectly with that expansion timeline. But anyway, so there's that. I still haven't read Kagurabachi. I've seen a few panels, and I know that it was a huge thing, and I remember talking about it when it dropped the first time. And we've been waiting on this anime adaptation forever. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied with this choice, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I don't think we're going to get this anime anytime in 2025. I would be worried about them fast tracking it, but maybe fall of 2025 or maybe winter of 2026, we could start looking for this at the earliest. But generally speaking, I would probably hope for like a spring or summer of 2026 personally, because I don't want them to rush this. And I may have not read it, but I do know that this is going to take a lot, and this is going to be a big project. And I worry about them, you know, stretching animators and people involved too thin, trying to make this go by too fast. And I hope that would not be the case. And for me, that seems to be maybe like I said, earliest, like winter 2026. Maybe a fall 2025, depending on how long ago this decision was actually made. And they're just now revealing this to the public. But generally speaking, yeah, I'm overall pretty satisfied. I just hope they don't hurry up and rush this, because I would prefer a really good, really great looking and overall production and a great anime adaptation of Kagurabachi where the animators didn't kill themselves than a decent one where the animators did. So take your time, and we'll all be fine, and it'll be okay. Then there's this where we've been talking about anime piracy a lot lately. I feel like we have had a few ongoing stories during the Otaku experience. One was, MAPPA and all the production issues that they were going on there. We've talked about that a lot, and the animators and things like that. And then this year, we've been talking a lot about piracy, and the piracy story continues to deepen as we get this major development from the Japanese government, of all places. So the Japanese government is backing an AI anti-piracy machine that is going to destroy anime and manga piracy, at least hopefully. Now, I've given my thoughts on this before, and it's not this perfect black and white subject that I think a lot of people want it to be, like the people who are very pro, or I guess anti-piracy and pro-anime and pro-manga. And I am very pro-anime and pro-manga. I'm pro-art. And I don't like people stealing art. Now, that being said, I also think that art should not be gate-kept. I believe that, this is just a personal belief of mine, that knowledge and art, obviously like basic things like food and water, and maybe even like religious places, like not that it would be enforced, but if you want to go to a mosque or a church or wherever, a place of worship, like that, those things should not be gate kept by anything, whether by location or by money, whatever. I believe that those things should be basic to people. Because that's, you obviously need food and water to survive. If you are religious, I think that you should have a place to express your spirituality, because I think that helps, especially in terms of like community and your overall. I think that it helps, personally, as long as it doesn't become like cultish and stuff like that. And then I think art and knowledge helps us to better understand, who we are as like a species and like where we're going. And so I really think that should be you don't want to get me start talking because I would say generally, I don't want to get too political, but generally speaking, I would say I fall somewhere on the left side of things, usually speaking. But I can understand a lot of the arguments. I have a lot of family members who are more conservative on things, and we have great dialogue, and we can talk about these things because we respect each other. But then one of the things that if you start talking to me about art, I become a communist or something like that. Because I'm like, yo, bro, you want my honest opinion? I don't think you do, but you want my honest opinion? I think movie theaters should be taxpayer funded. Yeah, what are you going to do about it? Because in my mind, for me, a movie theater is like an art museum. And an art museum is almost the equivalent of a public library for knowledge. So you go to a public library and you have knowledge. There's computers. There are, depending on the size of your library, thousands of books. And oftentimes those are taxpayer funded. Now there are some that you actually have to pay to get in, but those should be the exception, not the rule. And even a lot of museums, if they are generally speaking pay to get in, they'll usually have maybe once a week, maybe once a month, a free day thing. There's an art museum in Fort Worth that me and my girlfriend went to actually a few weeks ago, and they had a free day on Friday, and so that's when we went, and we had a great time. We spent 2 hours there just looking at art, and it was awesome. And for me, I think that should not be gate kept by certain things. I think that, we see too many people talking about how, the movie theater experience, everything's so expensive, ticket prices or things like that. If you don't have a Regal Unlimited or an AMC, it's too much money to pay for. And so I like that. And I'm not saying you need to do IMAX or Dolby or whatever, but, just a basic movie theater. I think that should be something that people should be able to get into, at the very least, at a very affordable and easy price. Now, all of this being said, I didn't mean to get on my soapbox, but all this being said, I just get really passionate about this. All this being said, I'm not a fan of piracy. I'm not a fan of people stealing stuff. But at the same time, I'm also not a fan of art being gatekept. So there's the mix here. We live in a world where, sadly, art is a business for a lot of people, and studios are treated as if it's some product to be sold. And so that's even kind of trained the way a lot of people talk about art today. People review things, and I've seen people on my anime list be the character's an 8 out of 10, and the music is 7 out of 10, and they'll rank every aspect about this project, and then at the end they'll be and I'll add my scores together, and it's a 7.289 out of 10. What? It's not a vacuum cleaner. There's no function that you can objectively measure it by. I just have a major problem with how our culture views art entirely. I think we are an artless culture right now. Not that we don't have art, but that we can't understand art. And so I definitely think that adds to it. And for me, we've talked about this before, that my simple fix to this would be you have to make sure that these things are available for people. So Crunchyroll already does it, and it's been expanding, and so I'll give them a little bit of credit for that, even though they do a lot of stupid stuff that I've talked about on many occasions. They have expanded some of their stuff to have, obviously they have a free tier. Now you don't get the newest episodes of anything. You're, I think, about a month behind generally. But you get that for free. You just have to watch some ads. And people often use ad blockers anyways, so that's fine. And then I think they now have some TV stations where they play reruns, or they play some of the most popular series that they have the license to. I forget if Netflix actually has a free tier, or if they just have a free trial and it's just an ad-supported tier. But then you run to the problem of some streaming services aren't available in all these countries. Now, sometimes Netflix, like a Netflix original series, will license maybe to Crunchyroll or to another anime service in another country, so that way people can still watch it. But I think the problem is, they're all split up so many places that it becomes hard to watch. Like every time a new season of Bleach comes out, I'm like, where do I watch this again? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's on Hulu, where I watch no other anime because that's who holds like the rights and distribution to it. And so it's just, it's all over the place. And, luckily I'm in a position where I'm blessed enough to be able to afford all the ways to access anime the way that I want to watch it. But a lot of people aren't. And a lot of people don't have that kind of disposable income, or maybe they do and they just don't have like the proper training to do it, or they have the money going in other places. But and so it's like this, all this to say, it's like this really big gray area where I can understand wanting to crack down on piracy because I don't think art should be stolen, because I think it's worth a lot more than that. But at the same time, I think art is above being gatekept by corporations and by business people. And so you have those two things. Both of those can be true at once. And we just need to find this middle ground. And it seems like all these studios are trying to do is just crack down on piracy sites without talking about the major problem at hand. All that being said, let's get into the story here. So the Japanese government is backing a new and highly ambitious plan to purge online anime and manga piracy using artificial intelligence, recently announcing a new AI project worth $2 million. NHK reports that the Japanese government's Agency for Cultural Affairs is building an AI detection system to more effectively counter the rise of anime and manga piracy sites, allocating 300 million yen, or $2 million US, in this year's supplementary budget proposal. The system will detect images online by having the AI learn information such as the layout and advertisements of pirated sites and images of content provided by publishers, allowing rights holders to smoothly apply for the removal of detected content. A spokesperson for the Agency of Cultural Affairs, why are these feet? Hey. Oh, I have to pay for the premium to remove the ads. Yeah, whatever. A spokesperson for the Agency for the Cultural Affairs said, there are limitations to finding pirated sites with the human eye, as it takes time and cost. We would like to develop effective countermeasures to reduce pirated sites and protect rights holders. The move will likely see a massive rise in DMCA takedown requests filed through Google. The popular search engine recently published a new transparency report revealing that companies like Viz Media, Toei Animation, and Aniplex of America were among the world's biggest companies authorizing these DMCA takedown requests. Google stated it made this data available to help everyone understand the impact that copyright has on access to content through Google search. It's likely hoping to find an alternate. An alternate means of dealing with piracy, as it's regularly the target of subpoenas to give up alleged pirate customer details. One Piece and Jujutsu Kaisen publisher Shueisha recently filed with the California court to subpoena Google alongside PayPal and Visa. I believe we talked about that as well. The Japanese government's new AI tracker would follow other anti-piracy efforts such as Webtoon, Bespoke Toon Radar technology. This embeds invisible information into Webtoons to identify the source of leaks. The company has stressed its zero-tolerance approach to piracy, regularly filing subpoenas, recently suing suspected two individuals for $700,000, and announcing this week that it was responsible for closing 70 piracy sites worth 1.2 billion annual visits. Okay. So I understand using the AI thing, like, hey, it's hard and it takes time and money and people to actually find everywhere that anime and manga are being pirated. So we'll just use an AI tool to do it. And then if if the AI detects it, then a person can actually go in there and check, and then, the person can claim it as theirs or not, and we can move forward from there. This still doesn't fix the underlying thing for me. I know that there are, in different countries, depending on the country you're in, you're going to have a different manga app, or the manga that you're looking for is going to be on a different app than it is in another country. And the same thing goes with anime. Some anime are licensed by this company in this country and are licensed by a different company in another country. And sometimes you have the very rare case of, not very rare, but at least of the modern anime, it's super rare. But the further you go back, the more you're going to find it being the case where anime just aren't licensed by anybody anywhere in that country, and the only way you can watch it is by watching it on like a pirated thing. And so we have to talk about that, and we have to be able to fix this. And not everybody can afford a VPN where they can just go, yeah, secretly I'm in like Africa, and watch whatever is streaming over there. And some people just have to pirate. Now there are some people who choose to pirate, even though they are able to pay for things, and I don't like that either. It just feels like this isn't really solving the problem, and all this is going to do, like, it's like a weed. Until you fix the underlying problem, every time you pull one up, another one's just going to grow in its place. Sometimes two will grow in its place, and you're not actually going to solve anything with this. At least that's my thought. But the plot thickens, and we'll see where this whole situation goes from here. But anyway, moving on. One thing that I feel like I've kind of avoided talking about is like manga bans and stuff, like in schools. Generally because in the US it's become more of like a culture war issue thing, and I just don't really want to get into that because that's not really what this is about. But this just this keeps happening, so I feel like we should talk about it. So it looks like, according to CBR, there are 100, or via Anime News Network and Chalkbeat, the Rutherford County District in Tennessee has banned over 150 books from schools in its school libraries, pending an investigation about whether they violate, Tennessee's HB 843 mandate. And it mandates that books in school libraries must be suitable for the age and maturity levels of the students, and it would ban books that contain whole or in part nudity, descriptions or depictions of sexual excitement, sexual conduct, excess violence, or sadomasochistic abuse that are patently offensive or appeal to the prurient interest for students in kindergarten through K through 12. The books currently banned while under review largely span LGBTQ plus topics, books featuring drugs, sex, and violence, graphic novels, and action, and boys love manga. These include Roots, the Saga of an American Family by Alex Haley, which was adapted into the popular TV miniseries, and manga such as volumes 1 through 8 and 11 of the frequently targeted Assassination Classroom by Yusei Matsui, and the first volume of Fire Force by Atsushi Okubo. Yada, yada, yada. So they've banned like 150 books. I don't know how many of these are actually manga being banned, but maybe these are 150 manga being banned. So let's just go with that. Okay, so I don't actually really care about this. And here's why. In a school library, there can only be a certain amount of books in the library. And it's not like they're banning these books statewide. And I know I believe that happens like maybe once or twice. Like that's very rare. But that's generally not what's happening. Usually they're just banning them from schools. And I don't really care about that because, I mean, if the kid really wants to read the book or something, everybody has a smartphone these days, and, they can have Shonen Jump on their phone. They can pirate it. Or they can just go to like a public library, like my public library, which is a really small one because the population in my city isn't that big, which is like literally like, if I walked there, it'd be like 10 minutes, it's that close. There are hundreds of manga there. Dozens of series, dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of series there. And they could just pick it up there. So I don't really mind that they're like being banned from schools. Now, what I do find hypocritical is like the reasons for why certain things are banned. I'm sure that a lot of these people would be happy if like the Bible was in these things. And as a Christian, my study Bible is right down here. It's open because I read it all the time, every day. But at the same time, I'm not a bonehead, and I can think about things, and I can tell when there is hypocrisy. That a lot of these people that are banning these books would probably like the Bible in their schools, but the Bible fails on like all of these grounds. Now, granted, the Bible doesn't have pictures, so I don't know if you can really talk about nudity. But yeah, their descriptions and depictions of sexual excitement, sexual conduct, excess violence, it essentially checks off all of these. But those people would be fine with that. So I think it's just the manner in which, like, when it comes to like boys love manga and things like that, it makes it seem like it's just more bigoted about these things. It just makes it seem like they're going for certain things because they don't want their kids to learn about this. And it's not actually because there's nudity or there's sexual things in it or there's violence. It's not actually about that. It's just the way that those things are. And that is the hypocrisy that I really hate. So I don't really care. Like if something removed, like I can't remember, like even when I was in school, I never got a book from my school library that I actually wanted to read. If anything, I would just go there for like, whether I was writing a report on something or something like that, it had to be for school. And if I actually wanted a book, I would either buy the book or I would go to, a public library or like half price books or something, or I would read it online or something like that. There's audiobooks. I would read an audiobook or listen to an audiobook. And so like, this isn't really like, who's really like getting stuff from the school library? Maybe a lot of people are. And maybe I'm just like missing out on that, but I don't know. But for me, the issue isn't banning the books from the school. The issue for me would be the hypocrisy in why they would choose to ban the books. Like I saw one lady who was like reading, like she went to the school council. This is like a video I saw. And she went to like this, it was either the school board or the city council or something. And she was like, hey, this book is about this, I think it was Assassination Classroom. And she was talking about how there's like weapons and all these things. And then, and she's like, and it even reads front to back. And she's like, and we teach our kids to read left to right, but this book is right to left and it's satanic, and it's just like, this is why you want this banned? Like what? Like, I just don't understand. Like, there's really no, we live in an artless society. Like I already said. What a sad existence we're in. Anyway, moving on. I'm done with that one. This one is funny. This one will cheer me up. So Attack on Titan, the final season, the final chapters, The Last Attack movie is, I believe it's already out in Japan and it's coming to the US at some point. Maybe it's not out in Japan yet. I don't remember. I don't really care. I'll check it out whenever it comes out because I want to see it in theaters. Because how often do you get to see an anime on that scale in theaters? And so that'd be fun. But generally, I'm not like excited about it. I think they've just milked this season to the bone. And at first I thought Mappa was a good decision to take over Attack on Titan, but it's just like not been at all. But anyway, it looks like for those of you guys who are really invested in Attack on Titan and you're feeling like crying, don't go to the main screenings, because for you there is a crying screening that has your name written all over it. So Attack on Titan: The Last Attack has announced a crying screening event, which will include screenings where fans are allowed to cry. You're not allowed to cry in the regular screening. There will be 9 participating theaters in Japan, with screenings scheduled to take place on December 4th and December 11th. They encourage fans to bring tissues or handkerchiefs for those screenings. In addition, visitors at those screenings will get a key visual sticker. But I guess because who's going who hasn't seen the episodes already? So I guess the people who are going to cry know who they are. But who knows if you're going to cry or not? Like, I'm not going to go to this screening just to cry. Like, what? This is so goofy. I'm so confused. This has to be a joke, but it's not. This is real, and theaters are doing this. That was all. I have no commentary. Anyway, so the last one that we're going to talk about today, like I mentioned before, I was talking about with the Kagurabachi situation, and that makes it sound like it was bad. The Kagurabachi anime announcement, and I talked about how Ufotable couldn't have done it because they have the Demon Slayer trilogy and then Genshin Impact. Well, with Genshin Impact, they need writers, and they are looking for you. So work for them. This comes from Anime News and Facts on Twitter, where they say Hoyoverse has a new job opening for animation screenwriters for the Genshin Impact animation project. One of the requirements includes Japanese oral communication skills, preferably. Like you don't need to though. And they also recently established a media and publishing sector for television media. This is where they have like the job responsibilities. Responsible for supervising the script of the Genshin Impact animation project based on the game settings. 2. Collaborate deeply with the upstream and downstream teams. Follow up on the implementation of the project and ensure coordination and consistency of the animation and IP tone. As the interface between IP and production, build an information sedimentation sharing mechanism to improve content. It's like, what the heck? Why is this on like Indeed or something? Okay, it's not. But essentially, like, you're just gonna hire some random dude? Like what? You don't want to find someone who's like a writer? You're just like what if Tectone? What if Tectone just hops on and is like, yeah, bro, I'll write Genshin the anime. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Like, I don't understand. The anime was a mistake. I feel like Hayao Miyazaki. I feel more and more like him every day. I just become this grumpy old man who just. Anyway, that being said, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Otaku Experience. I'm back. Thank you all for waiting. Would this be the Otaku Experience if this wasn't, if there weren't random month-and-a-half long breaks every now and then? Come on, keeps it exciting. Remember, there's a podcast on Spotify if you want to listen rather than, open YouTube. And all my social media is in the description down below. Hopefully, I will see you all next week, but you never know with me. Anyway, take care.